Next, we'll go into the tribute to Baba Chokwe Lumumba from representatives of the Malcolm X grassroots movement at this time.
Sorry, it won't be representatives, it'll be me. They don't Dimitri. But on behalf of the men, women, and children of the New African People's Organization and our mass association of Malcolm X grassroots movement, and his brother Chokwe Lumumba and the New African Independence Movement would say, we greet you in our revolutionary battle cry. Free the land! 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 By any means necessary. And I look out in the audience and I see some of y'all was at the memorial in Jackson, is that right? That's right. And what did you hear there? You heard this battle cry from almost every speaker. Free the land became the battle cry.
That's right.
And that happened because of Chokwe.
That's right.
So I'm here to talk about a man I've had the pleasure of knowing for 41 years, but I'm going to talk to you as family. Many of you read the articles, you've seen all this kind of thing. Let me just give you a little bit of background on how we come representing him today. Dimitri obviously worked with the provisional government. I did not. I came out of a formation that worked in alliance with it, but we became conscious citizens with the House of Umoja. When Chokwe joined the provisional government in 1969, he followed his brother, actually, Reggie, or Arki Shakur. And there's a story goes, he's a Lumumba because he was away at college, and Reggie was working in Detroit, became a Shakur, and he came back home with Lumumba. And so you have a Lumumba Shakur coming out of the Taliaferro family. So that's where we start. So Chokwe starts in the provisional government. As we know, he eventually became a Midwest regional vice president, a minister of justice. He came down in 1971 in Mississippi for the land celebration. He was representing the PG at that time. Returned again in 1973, I think, at the African Prisoner of War. And that's where I met Chokwe. And from that point on, we developed a relationship. But we over the years, probably from 1977, many new Africans at that particular time, or revolutionary nationalists, began to meet and talk about how we could come together and form a grassroots people's organization. Something that could do a little bit more than what the government was doing, because we wanted to get involved in politics. We wanted to get involved in grassroots organizing. And so over the years, we began to meet. Some of us from the African People's Party, from the House of Umoja, Black Panther Party of New York, Provisional Government Republic of Africa. We surfaced in 1984 as the New African People's Organization. Chokwe was our first elected chair and served in that capacity for 29 years. We actually, when we decided to run for mayor, decided it wouldn't be a good position for him to be in to represent the city of Jackson and to represent us. Brother Akinyele Umoja, who some of y'all may know, was our first national secretary. We only had 2 public positions. In other words, we learned from history. So Chokwe and Akinyele were the face of our organization. Our leadership was not known, but we believed in collective leadership. Chokwe exemplified that over the years. We believe in democratic centralism. So when you see Chokwe, many of you say, well, in fact, the brother asked me, why did Chokwe decide to run for mayor of Jackson, Mississippi? What was he thinking about? He was not. That wasn't his decision. Y'all follow me now? That's right. That wasn't his decision. In fact, he struggled against us. But we said, that's your assignment, my brother. We had an ideological conference in 2008 between the Malcolm X grassroots movement and the New African People's Organization, and we said that in counties where we are the majority, particularly in what we call our nation area or national territory like Mississippi, we're 80% of the population. There is no reason that we should not hold those positions.
That's right. That's
right? Because if we're talking about building a nation or running a nation, first we start with a family. We can run a family, then we can run a community, you can run a council, you can run then our people have the confidence in our ability to do it, right? Right. And so we said, Chokwe, you have to run. Because no one could have run but him. Let's be clear about that. Chokwe came back to Jackson in 1988, and initially wasn't going to let him practice law. But he defended almost everybody in Mississippi. I'm from Natchez, about 2 hours south of Detroit. Don't talk about me. About 2 hours south of Jackson. And my relatives down there talks about our mayor. I said, y'all ain't vote for Chokwe, come on. But he represented a lot of my cousins. He got them off case. And that's basically what he did. So along with his wife, Nubia, who was, I call a social butterfly, or was a networking person, she preceded him in his transition in 2003. It was her connections and Chokwe's working with the people that allowed him to become mayor. First, we ran in for city council because we supported the mayor that was running prior. Y'all got to understand what we're doing now. Right? This is a process, so you don't think this was an ego driving him for this. Okay? So we said, let's see if we can organize on a grassroots level. We ain't had no money, we still don't have no money. But we began to organize on a grassroots level, running for Ward 2 and City Council. One of the first things he did was bring in what we call a People's Assembly. A People's Assembly says that the community meets at least three times every quarter, and they talk about the issues. And they tell him what to do. Y'all follow me? A representative is supposed to represent the people. This is the platform that we put in place that let's have a People's Assembly. He began to try to implement that same thing as Barry. As you know, he's only in office for less than 8 months, so he couldn't totally establish it, but it's the same platform. Also, I see y'all talking about cooperative economics here. That was one of the things he was talking about doing as well. There's a conference with May the 2nd through the 4th. You can go to jacksonrising.org website, and we're having this economic conference that the mayor of Jackson is endorsing, that the people in Jackson are getting behind. I hope y'all rock with me right now, because we're talking about a person who never changed, because we're still the same people. We still free to land people. We still believe in land independence. We still believe in self-determination. But we understood that you have to start someplace, right? And the people picked up that cry. The people picked it up. Those of you that was at the service and you saw us going from the convention center to the cemetery, what did you see along the road? Black power fist, free land, red, black, and green hat. That came as a groundswell from the work that Chokwe did. I'm keep saying Chokwe because he was the catalyst for a lot of that. He was the person with the face on that. And because of his charisma, because of his understanding, his compassion, he even had other people, it used to be a stream. He had other people say that they thought he could divide the city. I'm not our spokesperson, so you got sometimes I trip up. You got to understand. We had a former governor who was a Caucasian who said he thought that by electing Chokwe would divide the city.
That's right.
He said, but I'm wrong about that.
That's right.
He says one city, right? One aim, one destiny. But when you're 80% of the population, you can do that. You got to understand, he came into a position where the prior mayor had a sheriff and a police chief who was white, was one and the same. Hello, let me tell you that again. One man was the police chief, and he was also the sheriff. Now, so you can arrest him and put him in your jail, right? But that was what the previous administration did, and allowed that to happen. Only in Mississippi, maybe in South Georgia, but really in Mississippi. So we had to make some changes on those things, right? So we said, well, that can't happen. You know, in fact, we actually supported the brother who's currently the sheriff now. And I think we have to understand, sometimes people say, why are you involved in electoral politics? You know, if you don't vote, what's going to happen? Huh? Hello? They're going to be doing the same thing they've been doing, right? So y'all need to stop tripping about it, you ain't going to register. When I first came to Georgia from Los Angeles, I was in Cynthia McKinney's district. What's the first thing I did? I registered so I could vote for Cynthia. Right? You're going to have people that represent you. The only way you can do that is to be engaged. I'm a criminal defense investigator, so I've worked with Chokwe in a lot of high-profile cases and death penalty cases, and our juries don't reflect us.
That's right.
They don't reflect us. And that was another thing that Chokwe would argue about. Y'all let me know how much time I got. Would argue about is that we have to be involved in this thing. You know, we have to get involved in the system to the point. But now, does that make us a part of the establishment? You know it doesn't.
No.
Because we only run in small things. But that example, let's look at the example. Imagine a full term. Look what happened in 8 months.
That's right.
Okay? Not only from that, I'm going to wrap up, but from that, we got calls from the community. The community says, we want to continue Chokwe's legacy. So Chokwe Antar Lumumba, his son, the people have asked for his sons to run. Wow. So we have a campaign to run Chokwe's son to carry out his legacy. Because you know we live on through great works of those people carrying out our work.
That's right.
Who best to do that other than the son who knew his program? Who best to do that other than somebody that knows? Now, we could get behind somebody that has a good program and support them, and that would be typically what happens. But when we have one of our own, why not support them? All right? So y'all can elect ChokweAntiLumumba.org. You can go to that if you want to make a contribution. What I'm holding here, and unfortunately, this is a commemorative commemorative booklet with statements from all over, from Haiti, Aristide, Venezuela, all over the country. There's a statement, all over the world. And we have to sell it. Hey, Kima told me I could tell you that. We have to sell it because we didn't do ads. I know I don't want to offend the vendors out there, but it's a tribute to Chokwe. I have some copies here, and I'll have some later. We'll probably put them online. But I think it is a testimony to this great man. I'm saying he's a great man. He's my brother. And so when you see somebody you've worked with for 40-something years, that's family. Our families work together. Our family, when his brother moved from Los Angeles to Decatur, live in my basement. That's how we do it. That's how I got to LA from Natchez. You know how we used to do it, right? Yeah. Somebody go out. Well, our families did it the same way. All right? So I told you I was going to talk to y'all like family here. I hope I'm not one of y'all, the regular speakers y'all get, but y'all understand what I'm saying, right? This is family. All right? I thank y'all for your time. I appreciate it. I turn over my brother Dimitri.
Free the land, sisters and brothers.
Free the land.
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 By any means necessary.
Bam.
Oh, so many thoughts come into my mind, and I want to thank you all for this opportunity to speak. You know, Chokwe was scheduled to speak at this conference.
That's right.
And, you know, on the day of his death, I mean, prior to his death, we had talked about coming over here and coming to the conference, and looking forward to seeing Brother Hakima again and Sister Tamu. But you all don't know what a treasure that you all have in those people.
They do.
I could just sit up here and talk about them for a while. I'm just going to be brief though, but you know, they're legends in Mississippi.
Right.
You know, if you don't know about them, you need to learn about them. You know, and they've always been an example of that light on the hill, the way that we should be as a people as we move toward independence and Kuchishakalia. You know, so study them, embrace them. You know, hold them tight, you know, for this time that they're here with us. And, thank you again for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. You know, my father's 95 years old. He's a character, but I haven't been able to tell him that Chokwe has passed yet. You know, I'm waiting till I go out there so we can sit and I can talk to him about it. But, you know, when we got the news that Chokwe had passed, you know, I was sitting there with my queen, Felice, and, you know, they had these excerpts on the television about Chokwe, just, you know, quick flashes and stuff, you know, and I could feel tears come in my eyes, and then I started smiling when this one little clip came on, and then I started laughing, you know. And my queen said, you know, what you laughing about? And it was this clip where Chokwe's coming in with his sister, with his son and his daughter on each side of him, and they're going like this coming in, you know. And his daughter's name Rakia. Rakia's got her little step up there, you know, as they're coming in. This was after he had won the election. And Chokwe Antar, he got his little step. And Chokwe just moving his hands, you know, he just moved his hands. And it made me think about the old times when I go to Detroit, and we used to go to the 20 grand. Y'all heard of the 20 grand in Detroit? You know, John Lee Hooker, you always talk about the 20 grand in Detroit. So I went to Detroit and I said, brother, we got to go, you know, Soulsville's fine, you know, but we got to go to the 20 grand. And so we got Nubia, we went out to the 20 grand and, you know, we out there on the floor and I said, Chokwe, he don't have no rhythm. That's why he just moved his hands. Because he didn't have no rhythm. So I got a little chuckle out of that. I remember that, you know, and I remember all the wonderful times with the family. And, you know, what Watani was relating to you all was the understanding politically the importance of Chokwe and MXG as their strategy to involve us in what I call local and regional politics in those areas where we're the majority of the population. The movement has had a lot of resistance to that, you know, that whole concept. And it's mostly come from people outside of those areas where we are the majority of the population in the rural South. And one thing Chokwe and I used to talk about all the time, because, you know, you can't talk about Chokwe without talking about politics, you know, because that was his life. You know, Chokwe loved the people. He dedicated himself to our political movement, you know, that sincerity, you know, I see him in Baba Akima too, you know, just constantly working for his people. But, you know, he talked about that 17 county contiguous region in Mississippi. That's the largest region of New African majority population. And it's a size, when you add the adjoining Arkansas and Louisiana counties that border Mississippi, it almost is the size of Switzerland. Right now, this landmass, you know, Chokwe used to say, one of his sayings was, if you talk about freedom without land, that's political masturbation. You see, you gotta have a concept of land when you're talking about Kuji Shakalia. When you're talking about self-determination, you have to have a concept of land, of territory. You know, not an abstract land concept, but a territory aspect. This border from here to here, from this here to here, we're gonna control this territory socially, politically, economically. And that was a vision that we shared in the movement. You know, it's not just the 17 counties of Mississippi, but the adjacent counties too. So that's Chokwe's legacy. You know, they had a Black Mayors of Mississippi Council in Mississippi that Chokwe was organizing. That council renamed itself the Chokwe Lumumba Council. That's just a statement to the greatness of his brother, you know. And for us to understand, you know, it may be a little different, you know, what time you all in the urban area, but, you know, Mississippi's kind of rural. It's kind of different, you know, and I'm saying that in a positive way. And I can really see and hold and feel our movement toward sovereignty, our movement towards self-determination. You know, Chokwe was such an example of that. The people lined the streets of Jackson, Mississippi, and raised clenched fists and said, "We don't have," you know. And so Antar's son, Chokwe Antar, you know, he's riding that momentum, and it's so funny because when the other candidates come up that are running for mayor, they say, well, we're going to continue the Lumumba plan. You know, they're shooting themselves in the foot because they say they're going to continue Chokwe's legacy. I mean, I'm sure they will try, but then the people say, well, shoot, we got a son here. You know, why we need to go somewhere else? Because they can't come up there and say, well, I got a new plan. Because everybody said, wait a minute, we had that new plan before. We don't want none of that. We want the Lumumba plan. Brother Chokwe, you know, so many fond memories. You know, he loved the people. Chokwe loved the people. Another one of his sayings, let the people decide. Whenever there was a controversy, whenever there was a stalemate, Chokwe said, let the people decide. And he would go with the people's decision. You know, wasn't no ego involved. You think about the New African Creed, that's something that the movement has. It's a statement of a lot of our beliefs, and Chokwe lived that creed. You know, part of the creed says, I'm a light set on a hill, a true representative of what we're building. I will be patient and uplifting with the deaf, dumb, and blind. I will love my brothers and sisters as myself. Fundamental reason our oppression continues is that we as a people lack the power to control our lives. These are the tenets that he lived by and raised his family by. And I was so happy to be associated with him closely over the years of his life. And he will be greatly missed, but we must follow his lead and continue to work. And we're inspired to do that. We're inspired to do that, trying to keep going to what we need to do. So, Watani, weren't you going to take some questions?
I can.
Yeah.
I'm not, is that appropriate?
For those of you who are watching via internet, Bob is going to come up and take whatever questions from the audience.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Chokwe's son, is he in politics? I don't know anything. Was he elected official?
No, sir. He's an attorney. He's actually part of Chokwe's law firm. He's a managing partner. He has no political experience, nor several people that are running for office. So, but he is running on a legacy.
How old is he?
Anton's like, what, 31?
31 this month.
31 this month, yes, sir.
When will the election take place?
April the 8th. It's very soon. They have 30 days. The city council president takes over as the interim mayor. And then within 30 days, they have to have a special election. And so we invite people to come down and hit the ground with us, knock on some doors, and that's how we won the last time. We did it as a grassroots movement. Yes, sir.
How many people are running against him, and are any of them Europeans?
No, there's one?
Yeah.
Okay, there's one.
A total of 9, including Antar.
Thank you. You heard there's 9, including Antar, and 1 is a European. And in Jackson, for the most part, because we're 80% African people, and also the majority are Democrats. So a white person running, all it does is just really divide the elections there. Yes, sir.
Is he also running under the same party that his father ran under?
Well, it's part of the Fannie Lou Hamer Democratic Party, and I don't have an answer to that question. I would assume he is, but it may be too soon for him to actually have gotten a card. Okay. And so if you run as an independent, then you have to wait till after the Democrats and Republicans. And so strategy would be is to go ahead and run that ticket. Okay.
So I'm assuming then that he's adhering to the same platform that his father had.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, there's no variation. Because you have to understand, his father's platform is our platform.
Yeah.
Y'all with me?
His father was actually his mentor here?
Yes.
His father was his prime mentor then?
His primary mentor, and as I said before, Chokwe is our best representative. In other words, we make collective decisions about how we're going to carry things out. And he's the person that articulates that. Naturally has his own ideas, but I think, it's a democratic centralist process. His job, because none of us have run for office. None of us have been elected officials, so he was out of his element. So he had to go in there. Like previous administration would come in there as clean slate. Chokwe didn't do that. We put key people in place, but he kept some of those same people because he recognized we needed to have somebody that understood how things work.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of security is he going to have?
Well, we have security, but the Jackson Police Department, the police chief that we chose, actually have done a phenomenal job. Their mentality has changed. When Chokwe, for the inauguration, I have to say this, he had enough sense to call me and ask me how he wanted the security ran. And so that told me a lot right there, that he recognized where Chokwe came from. Yes, sir.
2 questions. Other than helping financially, you mentioned we could do that online.
Yes, sir.
If the physical land in Mississippi and the adjacent states could create, if you will, a territory that could be controlled by African people, would it make sense for some of us to consider relocating?
Absolutely. In fact, Chokwe encourages that. In one of his last speeches he did, he says, Jackson is open for business. He talked about the migration to Atlanta, had the largest migration in the last 10 years, I believe. But that Jackson, he wanted Jackson to be their place. He wants people to move to Jackson. Come, you can buy a house in Jackson for $5,000. Yes. Yeah, you can get you a couple of them. I mean, it's, yeah, absolutely. Because you have the inner city of Jackson is where the majority of black folks live. White folks live is like northeast, and also going out into Madison County. So they're northeast Jackson. So if the inner city is the one where the infrastructure is terrible. One of the things that Chokwe's done, I don't know if y'all realize that he had a 1% increase in taxes that the people supported by 90%. Because he went out and did educationals and explained to them why. Because the previous administration had just let the city destroy it, just left it dilapidated. So, yes, houses are sitting there. Come on down, brother. Get you a summer home. Yes, sir.
Yes. Well, good brother, I just want to raise and praise the name of Brother Lumumba. And even though I don't have anything with me right now, I still stand before you and I pour a libation for this brother who, like Brother Malcolm, was a gifted hunter. Who we say, like Malcolm, who was a gifted hunter who hunted the forest of evil and injustice and oppression until the beasts begged for relief. And I call out this brother with other names that he should be known by, 5 more names. And that name is a relentless and all-season soldier and servant of the people. A permanent attorney of defense for the poor and for the oppressed and the unpowerful and the vulnerable and the devalued. And one who dared to bear witness to truth, to set and change the scales of justice of those who didn't have a voice. I shut up.
Appreciate that. You mentioned one thing that I think I failed to mention earlier on, Chokwe was a soldier.
Yes.
Now, I mean, he was a part of New African Security Forces for the Provisional Government Republic of New Africa. He was a part of our New African Security Union, rose to the rank of captain. So let's not get it twisted. This wasn't just a attorney out here. This was a soldier.
That's
all
right.
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
Baba Watani, what was Baba Chokwe's relationship to Baba Hannibal, and what role, if any, did Baba Hannibal have in Chokwe, the work in Mississippi?
Well, we've always worked close. Chokwe and the organization's always worked closely with Baba Hannibal. In fact, we run a summer youth camp, Camp Pumziko, where we take our New African Scouts, and Baba Hannibal's been a part of that camp for many years. Marshallsville, I believe, Hermanville, down in Port Gibson is only a short hour, half, something like that, maybe an hour drive from there. And over the years, there's always been a close relationship. I think we have to understand, just because a person leaves one formation, Chokwe left the Provisional Government Republic of Africa, but was always involved with activities. In fact, we would co-sponsor Black Nation Days or New African Nation Days. Some years the Provisional Government would do it, some years we would do it. So I think that, we would recognize we're citizens, but we're just not a part of that government structure. They always had a positive relationship. Yes, sir.
Thank you. If somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is it a Hannibal Afrique?
Yes, sir.
We got to put that in there, right?
Hannibal Afrique, yes, sir.
Black Power, Africa for Africans at home.
All right.
Hotel.
Brother Hakemus, Tamu, and the organization, I thank you for allowing me to come. I'm pretty sure we're going much longer than we were supposed to, but I thank you for the opportunity to allow us to share. Well, one more thing. I know that there was questions raised about Chokwe's death, and I just want to deal with that, lay some of that to rest. Because of we knew that Chokwe had some health issues, but because of the questions that people have, we've ordered an independent autopsy. The same person that Chokwe hired to do Medgar Everest's autopsy, same person that did John Kennedy's autopsy is doing this. The results are not in yet, but we're doing this just so that we can, clear everything up, get rid of the conspiracy theories or whatever. We just want to know the truth too. So as soon as that information is made available, we'll announce it to you. All right. I'll share.
The organization has done an incredible job on several Baba Chokwe's life and bringing that to people. And one of the things is this booklet that was put together, which is really phenomenal in the time that it was done. It was done in such a short amount of time to have reached that many people. A way of helping the family, of helping the, I guess, Chokwe Antar's campaign is to purchase that booklet. The booklet is $15, right?
Yes, and basically that's the cost of printing. What we did.
I'm saying it's a big booklet.
I have copies. I brought 10 copies with me, because it was done in such a short time, as you said, we didn't. The people that put it together didn't sell ads. We didn't have the foresight to say, well, how do we pay for printing? So now we have to try to make that up because we had to pay the printing.
Right.
That's all I hand up.
How many they want.
Oh, how many they want?
So that 10 is gone.
The 10 is gone, but you know I got support in the house, right? I got your copy right here.
Shay, at this time, we will take a slight deviation from the program, and I want to bring up Sister Akolo, who's going to come and offer a special tribute to Baba Chokwe Lumumba on behalf of her brother, who's currently incarcerated. Let's welcome the sister at this time.
Greetings, family. Greetings, family, and free the land. Free the land. Free the land by any means necessary. Peace and blessings to all our freedom fighters. And I'm very proud to be a part of the tribute for Baba Chokwe Lumumba today. We all know when he said free the land, it meant the same thing what Malcolm was telling us. Land is the basis of all freedom. That's why we free the land. This will be short. I had to write because I forgot my glasses. But anyway, I want to give this tribute to Brother Chokwe Lumumba. I love you very much. He loved my family. He loved my mother. He sent her a dozen roses. But anyway, I had to give this tribute to Brother Chokwe Lumumba. He really loved his people. I can say that. And as an African ancestor, I'm proud to say we have strong connections with family. And family doesn't just start with the immediate family. I say this to Jackson, Mississippi. From Jackson, Mississippi, you had a gift. Chokwe Lumumba's name meant gifted. If anybody know that, he got it from Patrice Lumumba. Baba Chokwe had the spirit of Fannie Lou Hammer in him as well. The channels he went through to get the position in Jackson, Mississippi. He was simply a brother sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I just wanted to say this, and I'll be through. I don't know if any of y'all knew it, with the spirit that we have had for over 400 years with our people. But the same day Baba Chokwe Lumumba passed, there was an android that came to the planet Earth. And it was like 3 football fields long. This can be found on the internet. It wasn't the same day, it was the same month. So I say to you all, our ancestors are here. And I also say this for Brother Baba Chokwe Lumumba. Free the land, free the land, free the land by any means necessary.
At this time, we will have Baba Hekima Kenyama come and speak.
Always together.
Greetings, family.
Greetings.
As a member of the board of ULU, we decided some time ago we needed a keynote speaker for this event, and we invited Amafika Gayuka out of West Palm Beach, Florida. Reached out to him, and he accepted. But he wrote us an email. He may have talked to DJ. he said, but if you could get Chokwe Lumumba to come, I would gladly step aside. And so we sent that email to AK. AK sent it to Jackson. And then I called Chokwe and confirmed, in fact, that he would come. And, but he's here. He's here. As we said last night at the services, a tribute for Chokwe at Indicator, Hekima, my name, Tamu, her name, we were named by Chokwe in a new African naming ceremony in Detroit in 1969. 1969. So he's been family, a comrade. We've driven the highways and byways, organizing together, and he would invite me to Mississippi. I said no. But I watched the services via internet last Saturday. What a powerful event.
Yes, it was.
But Tamu was able to go. And so, but not only her, two of my daughters, Allenda and Chinyeri, were able to go as well. So we're going to be the bridge between the words that have been spoken already about Chokwe, and then we're going to segue to the person we originally invited to be the keynote speaker. Anything to say, Tamu?
Just very quickly, I really loved Chokwe and my opportunity to work closely with him during the days of freeing the RNA 11 after I returned home from Mississippi, and I guess I returned home in 1972. And Chokwe was always by my side whenever I needed him. We were doing lots and lots of fundraisings, and I always needed a speaker. I always needed a brother by my side to work with me so that we could, have that equilibrium there. And he was always there, and like I said last night, it seems like it didn't matter what he was doing. If I called him and said, we're having, an event on such and such a date, can you be here? He was always there. And I really loved Chokwe, and I loved working with him. And even though we didn't see each other a lot during these latter years, but he will be so, so missed.
Yes.
Ashe.
Thank you, Mama and Baba, for that. I was asked to introduce the keynote speaker for tonight, and I think we just got a glimpse of his character in terms of what Baba Hekima just said, that we initially reached out to Baba Amafika Gayuka to be the keynote for this event tonight. And he called me and sent an email and said, brother, I'm honored. However, if you could get the sitting mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, Brother Chokwe Lumumba, I will be more than happy to not only step aside, but drive up from West Palm Beach, Florida, and attend myself. Born in Belle Glade, Florida, Baba Amafika Gayuka currently resides in West Palm Beach, Florida. He is a retired African-centered educator. His wife, Mama Felicia Gayuka, they have 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Baba Amafika Gayuka is the founder and board chairman of the Joseph Littles and Nguzo Saba Charter School in West Palm Beach, Florida. In 2009, Baba Gayuka completed a 1,069-mile walk from the city of West Palm Beach, Florida, to the city of Washington, D.C. And the purpose of that walk was to highlight the need for African-centered education, not only in the state of Florida, but in the country. An avowed black nationalist and Pan-Africanist of the Marcus Garvey persuasion, Baba Gayuka has been active in the black liberation movement since his mid-teens. Along the way, he was active in the Congress of Racial Equality, established the Center for Black Awareness in Utica, New York, and co-founded the Marcus Garvey Memorial Black Solidarity Committee, as well as established the Pan-African Cultural Explosion, or PACE, an annual cultural event in Rochester, New York. I present to you at this time the brother that I call Iron Man, Baba Amafika Gayuka.
I need to get my water here.
Where's that fire?
I am particularly touched by the words of my friend and brother, Hakeem. I've come to know and love that brother, and any call from him, the response is automatic. You know, just allow me a little bit of leeway here. Y'all know you
Take your time, brother.
have me in a position where I stepped into some huge shoes. I didn't know Brother Chokwe Lumumba while he was upstand amongst us. I knew of him by reputation. And that's why when the brothers asked me to serve as the keynote, my initial response was, of course, to accept, because the request came from two brothers that I admire and respect more than anyone in the world, Brother DJ and Brother Hakeem. But then I thought about it. I said, well, wait a minute. What better opportunity to really launch the Uplifting Us cooperative economic initiative than to have no less a person than the first black nationalist, Pan-Africanist, revolutionary, righteous get-down brother to ever be elected to political office in this country without compromising any principle. I sort of pride myself on saying to any audience, especially if there are some handkerchief head Negroes and some white folks around, that if loving black folks is wrong, I don't even want to be right. That to me is what Brother Chokwe Lumumba personified. I've been dealing with politics and politicians for over 50 years. And that man was a phenomenon.
Yes. That's right.
But he was more than simply a phenomenon. He rescued black nationalism
And by extension, he rescued us black nationalists. Because let's not kid ourselves, brothers and sisters, until Brother Chokwe pulled that off. We were somewhat rapidly being maneuvered into irrelevance in American society. Everybody else had champions except us. We were considered to be rhetoricians.
Come on.
All right.
People who had much to say, but could do little. And that brother demonstrated that at least inherent in us as an ideological school of thought was the capacity for true greatness. Back in 2006, I was blessed to co-convene a gathering in Cincinnati, Ohio, with my friend Jim Klingman and Bob Law. Out of that came the idea to create a movement to bring back black. What we were talking about is that back in the 60s, you know, it was great being black. It was almost unheard of to have two black folks pass each other with or without the clenched fist, but always with an acknowledgement of brother or sister.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It was an automatic given.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Our children were taught how wonderful it was to be young, gifted, and black.
That's a fact.
No shame. Nothing but pride. How tall we stood. Our women were to be respected.
That's right.
And our manhood would be called forth by the helplessness of our children. We were men and women then.
That's right.
I used to envy, maybe I shouldn't say envy, admire my Muslim friends. I've always had a lot of Muslim friends. I'm not a religious person, so I never got into Islam. I got out of Christianity, didn't get into Islam, didn't get into the Judaism stuff. I sought some spiritual roots that were our own. So while I admired the Muslim brother Hakima for them saying their little prayerful thing before they would start any speaking, I remember growing up in the Church of God in Christ that I had a problem, Brother DJ, with the fact that we would have a testimonial service, and what people would do was essentially repeat a testimony that they heard somebody else give in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it seemed to me, even in my young 6 or 7-year-old mind, that there was something wrong with that. It seemed to me that the testimony was supposed to be personal.
Yes.
That everybody can't have the same testimony.
Right.
There's some kind of strange God that can't do different stuff, give a different stroke for different folks.
Right.
So I said, well, I consider myself to be a practicing metaphysician. So I said, let me come up with my own affirmation. We don't do the prayer thing, at least in my concept of metaphysics. We meditate. let me come up with an affirmation that will reflect me. And I want to share that with you. Father, Mother God, creator, ruler, and sustainer of the entire universe. Thank you. Thank you for blessing me. And thank you for blessing mine. That's my daughter. Thank you for blessing them. And thank you for blessing theirs. Thank you for blessing all of us. And thank you for blessing ours. Because all is well, in spite of appearances to the contrary. All is well because that is the way that the creator spirit of the universe has ordained that it must be. Therefore, it has to be that way, not only now, but henceforth and forevermore. Yes. And it is in grateful recognition of and appreciation for that fact that I proclaim the hearty ratification thereafter in the manner and spirit of my ancient ancestors, those along the Nile River Valley, in both upper and lower kingdoms of Kemet, those deep into the heart and throughout the length and breadth of Mother Africa. For as they most certainly would have said back then, I say now, Amen, Ra. Amen, Ra. Amen, Torah. And so it is, and so must it forever be. Ashe, Ashe, and Ashe. You know, it's interesting that this name, Ptah Amen Ra, I'm told that there are some 7 to 7.5 billion people in the world. Perhaps 1.5 billion profess to be Christian. Another 1.5 billion profess to be Muslim. Another approximate 500 million profess to be of the Hebrew faith, one variation or other. And those three monotheistic religions dominate and virtually control the rest of the population of the world. So for all effective intents and purposes, all of these people, few if any of whom know anything about ancient Kemet and the deities there,
That's right.
have determined that, without knowing it, the ultimate word that proves the veracity and the truthfulness of any statement is Amen. You want to say it in our idiom, Amen. Without knowing it, they are paying homage to an African deity.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I think it's about time that somebody starts working on how we can turn that to our advantage. The Jews have done a pretty good job, and they're not even the people of the book, but they've done a pretty good job of taking full advantage of the fact that somehow or other, all the Christians and the Arabs have accepted the claim that their respective religions evolved out of the Jewish religion. So they've got all the Christians and all the Muslims inadvertently following them around, even when they fight on the surface of things. So we ought to be able to make some sort of advantage come out of the fact that these people, without knowing it, have been saying a deification kind of thing to one of our ancient deities. Yes. So let's work on that, some of those of you who are good at that sort of thing. I want to acknowledge Brother Hakima and Brother DJ, and I say this for Brother DJ, and every conversation that he and I have had, and we have a lot of conversations by phone, we exchange emails all the time. He always pays tremendous respect to his board. So I want you all to know who are on the board of UsLiftingUs, that this brother, even outside of your view and your eyesight and your hearing, is singing your praises. And I believe that is in recognition of the fact that without the right kind of leadership, the dedication, the competence, nothing can move and nothing will go very far. In talking about Brother Chokwe, and I'm going to tie this together, and I hope it makes sense to you. I said that he was more than just a man. He's a symbol of something. Back in December 9th of 2006, I mentioned, I wrote this piece. This was an excerpt from a black paper that I wrote titled, From Rhetoric to Action. Remember now, it was written back in 2006, so allow for the fact that some things have happened since then. For purposes of this paper, I will use the term nationalists to refer to those of us among the black collective who accept and use any of the following designations to refer to ourselves and others who share our ideological and philosophical point of view. Black nationalists, Pan-Africanists, Garveyite, Diopian, Afrocentrist, Afrocentrist, African-centered, conscious black, race patriot, self-determinist. And if you got another one that isn't in that list, you can throw that in there too. From my perspective, the opposites of nationalists are integrationists / assimilationists.
Yeah.
I call them IAs, for sure. Nationalists and IAs have contested for influence with the black collective in America since the days of Reconstruction after the U.S. Civil War. Except during the height of the Garvey movement in the 1920s, IAs have maintained dominance in the competition for influence with the rank and file of black Americans. Any doubt about that? As a result, they are responsible for the condition that we are in today, for better or for worse. The 1960s brought a resurgence in black pride that was reminiscent of the Garvey era. But the influence and the eloquent oratory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. kept the IAs on top. Nationalists nearly regained the ascendant position with Minister Louis Farrakhan's massive success in calling for the Million Man March. But the minister, and I love the minister now, but you have to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
But the minister's failure or refusal to declare that event a nationalist accomplishment resulted in a missed opportunity for our forces. Our cause was further undermined when the minister chose to appeal to a rainbow of races, creeds, and colors to attend the follow-up 5th anniversary celebration of the Million Man March in the year 2000, calling it the One Human Family March. And it was destroyed completely when he chose to court the IAs on the march's 10th anniversary in 2005, when the name was changed to the Millions More Movement. His success with the Million Man March catapulted Minister Farrakhan into the paramount chief position among black leaders, supplanting Reverend Jesse Jackson for that distinction. From that vantage point, he could and should have recaptured the hearts and minds of black people for the nationalist cause. But in allowing the IAs to dominate the organizing and the conduct of the Millions More movement, Minister Farrakhan ceded preeminence in the black movement back to the IAs. As a direct result, he has now been supplanted from the paramount chief's position by Tavis Smiley, who cemented his coup by elevating his covenant with Black America above and beyond the minister's reach and influence. At present, this is in 2006, the only challenges for Tavis's paramount chieftaincy are other IAs, with the Reverend Al Sharpton posing the greatest threat and Dr. Michael Eric Dyson probing for the right opportunity. No avowed nationalist is currently ranked among those viewed as viable competitors for paramount chief among Black leaders. This must change. For all effective intents and purposes, whoever is viewed as paramount chief among Black leaders and spokespersons is the equivalent of the president of Black America. We can criticize Black folks' penchant for a messiah all we want, but it is in the nature of people of African descent to want a chief. It is folly to ignore this fact about ourselves. Someone is going to be chief, whether we nationalists think there should be one or not. I think Brother Chokwe Lumumba realized that somebody was going to be mayor in Jackson, Mississippi, whether that was Black nationalists or not. Now, who can deny that we're better off with a Chokwe Lumumba as mayor than with some of the other kind of folk? And whoever is perceived as being the chief influences how Black folks think and the course of action they are inclined to follow. If nationalists want Black folks to pursue a course leading to self-reliance and self-determination, we had better vie for and win back the paramount chieftaincy. Making excuses for our failure to do this will assure that the status quo is maintained, with the IAs setting the Black agenda to the obvious detriment of our people. We nationalists have allowed ourselves to be maneuvered into a position as loyal opposition to our IA counterparts. They are the party in power that can make things happen, and we are the minority party, left to criticize from the sidelines what they choose to do that we disagree with, or what we would agree with that they don't do. We are like the Broadway critics who pass judgment on the work of producers, directors, and performers, but possess no talent, ability, or willingness to mount the stage themselves. It is time for us to adhere to the proverb that it is not necessary to condemn a dirty glass. Just put a clean one down next to it. And by inference, the difference will speak for itself. Thanks to Tavis Smiley, the IAs have a vehicle to rally the troops around. It is his covenant with Black America. Nationalists have heaped criticism on this document, its content and intent, and justifiably so. Nonetheless, Black folks throughout America are meeting in homes and public venues discussing Tavis's covenant. Now, of course, Mama, remember, this was before the white folks sent Obama out there to misdirect all of that, okay? But you know that. Okay? If we nationalists believe the covenant is the equivalent of the proverbial dirty glass, then why do we not put a clean one down next to it? Why don't we abandon our critic's role and mount the stage and present our own production? It just so happens that we nationalists do have a vehicle of our own, if we would but drive it. In 2001, Dr. Claude Anderson published Powernomics, the National Plan to Empower Black America. The Powernomics Plan is a synthesis of the master plan put forth by Dr. Chancellor Williams in his celebrated work, The Destruction of Black Civilization. Bear with me. When I was in Jackson, we left there and went to Louisiana, my wife and I, to visit the Katrina situation. And we picked up some sort of bug down there. All the crazy white people in the world were down there for Mardi Gras or something, and they passed some real bad stuff around in the air, and we just picked up a bug. Don't have to do that again. Since publishing his plan, Dr. Anderson has crisscrossed America trying to get black folks to wake up and smell the roses before it is too late. As this is written back in 2006, remember, Dr. Anderson is trying to consummate plans to implement a project to demonstrate the practical nature of his powernomics concept in Detroit, Michigan. His Maroon City development has the potential to herald a new day for blacks in America and a new way for us to pursue an improved quality of life for our people and the future of our children. Nationalists should rally to Dr. Anderson's support in this effort. We should be meeting and discussing the Powernomics plan in private homes and private venues in much the same way as, but with greater enthusiasm than, the promoters of the Covenant have been doing. Black nationalists can be found in every nook and cranny in America. And wherever we are, we should be promoting the Powernomics plan and its implementation. We should be so busy doing our own thing that we hardly have time or the inclination to criticize our opposites for whatever they may or may not be doing. More than 30 years ago, an IA acquaintance of mine made the comment in a meeting that nationalism is a beautiful philosophical construct, but is totally inappropriate for practical application. Let me say that again. This is the way we are viewed. Nationalism is a beautiful philosophical construct, but totally inappropriate for practical application. It is one thing for IAs to feel that way about what we believe in, but it's yet another for us nationalists to allow the charge to be true. We are the nationalists, but we've done no nation building. One of our foremost scholars invented the Nguzo Saba with unity as the foundational principle, yet nationalists are less unified than any ideological or philosophical segment of the black population. We talk the talk, but have proved to be incapable of walking the walk. IAs are even beating us to the punch in establishing functional working relationships with developing nations in Africa. Nationalists are settling for cultural events and activities, while IAs are going in and setting up businesses. We do feel-good stuff, while IAs and their European sponsors undertake business and economic ventures, which have at least the potential of providing practical economic benefits for the Africans on the ground, at least some of them. Given the level of poverty extant in Africa, which group of us do you expect Africans to appreciate more? Us nationalists who claim them as long-lost brothers and sisters, or IAs and Europeans who offer them the possibility of employment and business opportunities leading to a better quality of life? Now is the time for nationalists to move from rhetoric to action. We must prove that ours is more than a rhetorical concept, and most importantly, that we nationalists are more than theorists and rhetoricians. We must demonstrate that we are capable of conceptualizing, developing, implementing, and conducting programs and ventures that can improve the living conditions and life chances of our people, those at home and those abroad. It is time for us to become the party in power. Chokwe Lumumba. To retire the integrationist assimilations to the back rows from which vantage point the loyal opposition spews forth its rhetoric in reaction to the action taken by the power wielders. Now, a young brother, I say a young brother, I don't know how young he is, I'm going to call him young, by the name of Kelvin Benjamin, circulated this email. He said, by now you all know that Chokwe Lumumba is dead. He is now with the ancestors. He spent his life progressively fighting for black people. His greatest achievement was being elected mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, which is the capital of Mississippi. His election trumps Obama's selection because for the first time you have a black Pan-Africanist revolutionary in charge of a major city in the South in the most racist state in the country. That is history. His election was payback for all the evil that them devils in Mississippi have done to black people for the past 5 centuries. The election of a black Pan-Africanist revolutionary with a history of progressively helping black people was something these devils could not allow, for it would serve as an example to all black people, especially in the South. Imagine if you had a Chokwe Lumumba in charge of Atlanta, a Chokwe Lumumba in charge of Miami, a Chokwe Lumumba in charge of Charlotte, a Chokwe Lumumba in charge of Charleston, Columbia, Nashville, Birmingham, Montgomery, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Little Rock, Dallas, Houston, Austin, etc. You are talking real black power. That is what we have to look at Chokwe Lumumba's election as mayor of Jackson in that context. What he represents, in the words of Marcus Garvey, what you do today that is worthwhile will inspire others at some future time to do greater things than they ever imagined they were capable of doing. I understand now, for example, that a brother Morgan Moss has been inspired by brother Chokwe's success, and he has created a program and a campaign based on brother Chokwe's model, and is running for mayor of Rayville, Louisiana. Watch out, folks. Watch out, folks. Some good stuff is happening. And we owe a lot more to this brother's memory and his example than simply praising him, even though the praise we give is more than deserved. But he is far more than simply the first righteous brother to get elected to a political office in the United States of America, especially in the Deep South. So we have that to be celebrated. I think you ought to give him and his people a round of applause. One of the things that I've learned in my spiritual path is that thinkers rule the world.
That's right.
They always have, and they always will. Back in the days when I was in elementary school, I remember the teachers would always say, put your thinking cap on. Yes. Didn't quite understand what they meant, but now in retrospect, I know only too well. Put your thinking caps on. We've got a lot of thinking to do. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, thoughts are things. Mm-hmm. Thoughts are things. Nothing exists without being preceded by a thought. Everything that we see, feel, touch, sense is an outward or physical manifestation of a thought which had to precede it. Thinkers rule the world. Yes. They always have, they always will. They also used to teach us back in the day, those of you who are old enough to remember this, that black folks had to be twice as good as white folks in order to expect only half as much in return. Now, isn't it interesting that none of us got upset with being told that? Because you know why? I think inherent in being told that was the inference that it was possible. More than possible, it was inevitable. So what we would do was strive to be minimally twice as good as they were. I just had a debate down in Palm Beach County, because I opposed this continued rat-a-tat-tat of people talking about the achievement gap educationally between black children and virtually all other children, but especially white children. And even black folks, especially black educators, have picked up on that and started repeating it like we so often do. We don't realize sometimes the damage that we do by repeating stuff that other people put in our minds to say without us even giving any thought to whether it makes any sense or not. But the only time that there was really an achievement gap educationally between black and white children was before Brown versus the Board of Education.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The black church started public education in America. White folks weren't about educating common white folks, children. The black church started what has come to be known as public education. And before Brown versus the Board of Education, the most outstanding students in America were black children who got a chance to go to school. Most particularly down here in the South. Most particularly down here in the South, where you had black principals, black teachers, black communities that supported all of them.
That's right.
And they were the superior. I remember an incident, for example, some years ago, maybe about 20 now. You get my age as years start to run into each other. But my family is from a little town called Somerton, South Carolina. Some of you may have remembered Somerton from the Brown versus the Board of Education. That's where they did the piece having to do with the little dolls the first time around. It was in Clarendon County. That's where my parents are from. Well, down the road, or up the road from Clarendon County is Orangeburg County. That's where South Carolina State University is. There came a time in Orangeburg County when the white leadership in that county decided that they wanted to go after some federal money to do some development in Orangeburg County. When they approached the federal government for that money, they were told that in order to qualify for the federal funding that they were seeking, they would have to demonstrate or prove that they had a certain percentage in the population in Orangeburg County that had minimally bachelor's degrees, then a certain percentage that had master's degrees, and a certain percentage or number at least that had PhDs or ED degrees, right? Follow that now. When they took a look, the white folks, the only way that they would be able to meet that qualification was if they were to include the black folk mostly associated with South Carolina State University in some capacity or other, because they were the only people at that time in Orangeburg County who had any of those degrees. Now, to show you how stubborn crackers are, they refused to apply for the money if getting the money meant that they had to depend on the credentials of white folks. I mean, of black folks. And of course, you don't need to call them black folks. You see, if that's what it takes, they said, for the federal government to give us some money, you can take your money and you can shove it. And they refused. But I'll tell you what else they did. They went into an expedited Chokwe Lumumba type of campaign to bridge the gap, which was not favorable to them at the time, you see, of academic attainment. They started force-feeding white folks, white children and white adults, to make sure that they expedited the process of getting those degrees by any and every means necessary. That's how they react to adversity. That's how we need to learn to respond to adverse situations. Not roll over and play dead or cower before the oppressor. One of the things that I don't know whether people are aware of or not, but you need to check this out. It's all over the internet. The government and other major institutional mechanisms in this country is actually traveling the world or sending designees around the world, certain parts of the world, in particular, Philippines is one, the former Yugoslav colonies is another. And several other places that don't pop into my mind at the moment. The purpose of this is to actually recruit certain ethnic groups of people, mostly white, except in the case of the Filipinos, but never any blacks. Not in terms of this concentration that I'm talking about. To be specifically recruited to certain American cities that are decaying or have decayed. Because the belief was that because of the close ethnic harmony, mind you now, and nationalism of these groups, the way that they work together and cooperate and collaborate, they could, in a measurable period of time, turn these cities around in terms of developmental. You see it happening in Detroit. It's happening in Pittsburgh. It's even happening in the town where I grew up, Utica, New York, where they're bringing in a bunch of Serbs and Croats. Now, understand that every one of these communities where they're claiming they need to go bring in these foreign nationals and ethnics to take advantage of their close ethnic and national unity to turn American cities around, already have large populations of black folk.
That's right.
What is that saying about their perception of black people? And what is that saying, or what should that be saying to us about our lack of unity and nationalism? This is no time for nationalists to be running away from our ism. Now's the time for us to stand up and point out every one of those instances and examples when other people's nationalism and sense of internal unity and accord, collaboration and cooperation is being called upon to save American cities. We can do that.
That's right.
But of course they would rather do like the crackers in Orangeburg County. It was going to take black folk to save an American city. They just as soon see it go down the tubes. But that doesn't mean that we need to sit idly by and let it go down the tube just because they might be willing to do that. Atlanta, I'm going to have to talk a little bit about y'all. You heard the brother say, my brother Chokwe was trying to, had started, I won't say he was trying, he had started because he was succeeding, as quiet as it's kept, in encouraging blacks with some talent, skills, and ability to come to Jackson in much the same way as at one time there was a surge of migration from all other parts of the country, including many parts of the world, the African diaspora especially, to come to Atlanta. Atlanta has the distinction of probably having the largest concentration of what Du Bois referred to as talented 10th kind of black folk of any city in the world. Why? Because they've been coming here from everywhere. Just pouring into Atlanta when this was considered the Mecca. Everybody who has, and these weren't people coming here to get on welfare. These were people who were coming here bringing credentials, you see, looking for opportunities to apply them. So if there's a place in the world where success for black folk can be assured by the availability of a talent pool of sufficient size and scope and complexity, it is Atlanta. But if for whatever reason, perhaps the absence of your own Chokwe Lumumba, you haven't been able to capitalize on having those folk, then maybe all of you all should get together and start encouraging black folk in Atlanta who want to really do something worthwhile to go to Jackson and help Chokwe and Lumumba pick up and carry on for his father. In moving towards closing, let me share this with you, something else that I quote from one of my black papers. And incidentally, for those of you who care, I do have a website. It's www.amafika.com. And I have a number of papers, black papers that I've written from time to time. I've got a number of videos that I've recorded from time to time. Also on YouTube, you can go to Baba Gayuka's videos. Just Google that in, Baba Gayuka's videos, and some of the videos that I've been asked to do to explain some of my points of view. I consider myself, incidentally, to be a practical nationalist. Practical as compared to, for example, cultural nationalists. I'm not putting anything, I'm simply saying my belief is that our cultural nationalists are the greatest righteous-minded people on earth. And they can conceptualize ideas and programs that are just stupefying. But where we come up short are with practitioners. I was so pleased, the two brothers, I'm sorry, Taekwon and the other brother, Lassana. Here's what I was pleased about, because I have a lot of theories. These brothers came out of the system. I used to talk a lot about in my early days the difference between infiltrating the system and being co-opted into the system. Where we were hoping that by preparing our people with the skills necessary to gain access to the system, we would in effect infiltrate the system, which means those are our people on the inside working on our behalf. But when those people get lost and they get converted to the systems service, then that means they have been co-opted into the system. So it's a sheer joy to me to meet these two brothers who have been in that system and are back out here now, unabashedly saying the same thing I say. If loving black folks is wrong, I didn't want to be right. They obviously had infiltrated the system, and now they're bringing the good stuff back out here for us to do the right kind of stuff with. And I applaud you, brothers, and I want y'all to give them a hand. We have to put the past in its proper perspective and get on with the business of rebuilding our people and their sense of self-worth. We are convinced that the best protection against continuation of the past pattern of white supremacists and racists abusing black people is for black people to strengthen ourselves to the extent that it would no longer be wise or safe for racists to choose us as their victims. Force them to look elsewhere for their next victim. If we blacks continue to operate from a victim mentality, even if white folks were no longer to find it in their interest to continue abusing us, we would seek out another entity to service our need to be victimized. It would be the racial equivalent of battered wife syndrome. Our people need to heal, and healing requires restoration. No one has an interest in restoring us but us. And if we don't do it, no one else will. We must solve our own problems, and in ways that suit our needs, with little or no regard for what others may think of it. Accuse us of being racist in reverse if you will, but we will not let that define us. We are black people, the only people who have been enslaved, degraded, and debauched as a race, and we owe no one an explanation or apology for whatever means we choose for purposes of restoring ourselves and protecting our posterity. Free the land, free the land, free the land, by any means necessary. Thank you.
Let's give Baba K. another round of applause. You know, in his presentation, he mentioned rather casually the Church of God in Christ. And that's something that he and I joke about all the time. You know, that time. You know, when we were a part of that organization, and how it has actually helped in a lot of ways develop us into the warriors that we are. So let us not discount that even out of the Pentecostal denomination, that warriors can be produced. You know, at this time we're going to do another thing that comes out of the black church. And we're going to pass that plate. So, Brother Dredd, you might want to put a little soft music on, you know, create the ambiance. But we have a brother who's going to come at this time and facilitate that. Let us welcome him at this time.
Good evening, family. Is everybody still strong?
Yes.
Yeah. Is everybody still strong? All right. My name is Brother Chokwe Lumumba. I'm one of the board members for the African Community Centers for Unity and Self-Determination. And I like to think that in combination to the theme of the day, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, that between me and my brother Rwan here, we may have the most important job here this evening. Don't you agree? Okay, thank you for agreeing with me. That makes me feel better. But one of the things that we talked about very early was the lack of trust when it comes to the economics of our community, be it from the consumers to the black businesses, and the need for transparency. And in this segment of the program, we're going to try to make this as transparent as we possibly can. So what we're going to do is, when we call for the collection, the great poet here, Brother Rwan, is going to go around and he's going to take in the collection. But I don't like to do anything without a sister being involved. So if I can get a sister to just volunteer to help us in this process, I'll move forward. Without